everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk to you about The Boy Who Stepped Through Time by Anna Sydor. I'm really excited to tell you about it. So last week you would have heard me give a really brief recap of my reading experience of this book in my Books Beside My Bed video. It is an Australian middle grade historical fiction time travel story and it is just delightful. This is a new release from Allen and Unwin and they did send it to me for review. It comes out on the 1st of June, so hopefully the day that you're seeing this video, and I was really pleasantly surprised. Most of you know that I struggle a little bit with historical fiction, regardless of whether it's middle grade or adult titles, and I was intrigued by this one because it's set during ancient Rome, which is not typically where we see historical fiction set, or at least not that I've commonly seen. This is the second of Anna's books that I have read. I read 52 Mondays back when it was released, and I was very lucky to get a chance to read a second of her books. I'm going to start by reading the summary on the back of the book. I just think it's useful to have that in a standalone book review. So it says, when Perry steps into a crumbling ruin while on holiday in France, he is not expecting to be transported back 1700 years to Roman times. While he hunts desperately for a way home, he must blend in as a slave, even if it means eating mice for dinner. Gradually, Perry is caught up in the fascinating world of the Grand Villa Rubia and a life he could never have imagined. But when he makes a new friend, he thinks he might already know her terrible fate. Perry is faced with an impossible choice: to find his way home or stay and guard his friend's life and risk being trapped in the past forever. Now, that is a summary that would capture many middle grade readers. I know plenty of kids who fit into this age range who adore historical fiction. When I was teaching that age group, historical fiction was the thing that they tend to reach for more often than not, often because there was a little bit of an adventure in there as well. And this is definitely something that I know that they would love to read. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I loved about this book. I really loved the attention to detail. There is a lot of historical references in here, and I know from digging into a little bit about the writing process for this book that Anna worked alongside and collaborated with her sister, who is an ancient Rome historian and archaeologist. And so you get that really authentic feel of, okay, these things are true things that would have happened back in those times. That kind of detail is what kids really love to read and to find out about, especially, you know, that their comment about maybe having to eat mice for dinner because it's gross, and kids love that sort of stuff. I really loved Perry's interaction with his family, particularly at the start and the end of the book. He's in France on holiday with them and his mother is taking them out all to a historical reenactment of a great festival and forcing her two children to get dressed up in olden days garb, and Perry is having none of it. He feels like a young boy, he behaves like a young boy, and his family interacts like a family, and that added a sense of realism to the story that I really enjoyed. And then once Perry does accidentally end up transported back into the past, he's alone, and so he has to deal with that, and he ends up creating his own found family with Caritas, who is another slave in the story because that is the way of the times. And they get up to a bit of mischief, but they also both become good friends with the daughter of the landowner, and her name is Valencia, and she is the one that Perry realizes that perhaps he knows her fate in the future because he's been visiting all of the historical monuments with his family back in the future. He has to grapple with whether or not he can protect his new friend or whether he needs to get home, and so that becomes an ongoing thing throughout the story, which was really delightful because he's torn. Because he wants to get home and he wants to get back to his family, but he also doesn't want anything bad to happen to his friends. The pacing was really fantastic. I really enjoyed the story. You have bits of action, but you also have times where we get to know these characters and we get all of those historical facts. And of course, I loved the time travel. Time travel makes everything just a little bit science fiction-like, and I love that. And I thought the way that Anna included that in the book was really wonderful, especially since it happens when Perry is investigating the ruins and he really doesn't realize what's happened at the time. And because he doesn't realize how it happened, he doesn't know how to get back. And so he's trying all sorts of things and trying to recreate the same circumstances. Overall, this was just a super fun read. I actually can't wait to take this in to work and to share it with some of my colleagues who are teaching the age range for this book, because I think there are a few of them who might find it really interesting to read either the whole book or parts of it to their students, especially as a way of getting them into historical fiction. In the description box down below, I will leave a link to where you can purchase The Boy Who Stepped Through Time. In the comments below, let me know if you're planning on checking out this book or if you already have. And if you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave an amphora emoji, which I didn't realize I had until I looked it up. So I will leave a picture of it on the screen, but you can search for it. And that is something that used to hold water and wine for Greeks and Romans. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.